everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Jashed. So today I'm really excited to have with me Meica Horsburgh. Meica is the retiring captain of the Australian women's goalball team, the Aussie Belles, who is fresh off Tokyo 2020 Paralympics and is joining us from hotel quarantine, but back on home soil. So thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule right now to have this conversation with me. I want to hear about the Paralympics that you've just come off the back of, because the Aussie Belles did a hugely amazing job in representing like the sport and the country while you were there. So first of all, how are you feeling at this point from that?
Well, hi everyone, and thank you so much for having me. It's very weird, like coming home and coming into hotel quarantine. Every competition, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you kind of get the post-competition blues now. It's just you've been around so many people for so long and you have so many emotions when you're playing. You know, you have highs, you have lows, and then you usually get to go home and you can kind of express that with people. But going to hotel quarantine, you're alone. Like it's really hard. Being stuck in four walls and having all that all by yourself is so tough. But thankfully we do have a lot more, like with social media and Zoom and all that sort of stuff now, so that's probably saving me. But yeah, after such a huge games, I mean, I'm still, I can't even believe it happened, really. It's crazy with everything going on. I'm so surprised it happened, and yeah, still trying to process it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I was gonna say, like, thank God for like Instagram, because I've been following your stories and everything. I'm like, cool, she's like connecting with the world. She's doing all right. Okay, so for the uninitiated, can you explain what the sport of goalball is, just for those who haven't heard of it or have heard of it but don't really know?
Yes.
And I thought you'd be a better person to explain it.
Yeah, so Goalball is for the blind and vision impaired athletes, although everyone can participate. You can actually play for your state if you enjoy it that much and you're good enough. But it was first invented to help rehabilitate blind war veterans, and then it kind of went from there. So everybody's blindfolded, so you have a mask on, and that's just to help everyone play equally. So you can have sight like myself, or you can be totally blind. And you have a ball that's 1.25 kilograms and it has bells in it. So obviously while you're blindfolded, you can still hear the ball. You have an 18 by 9 meter court and you have 2 goals up each end. So each team's up each end, and you have to throw the ball, bounce the ball, and try and get it past the opposition at the other end. But to defend the ball, you defend it with your body. So what you basically do is just throw yourself on the ground and defend the ball with your body.
I liken it to like reverse dodgeball, where you're trying to stop it.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
So you do want to get hit with the ball, which is crazy. But yeah, that's the only way of kind of stopping the ball from going in the goal behind you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So that is what you guys, like the women's team, were over there playing at the Paralympics. There's a bit of history there with the Paralympics for the Aussie Belles. So it will in context of how you guys went with this games. So the Aussie Belles hadn't won a single Paralympics goalball match since Atlanta in 1996, which is what, 25 years.
Yeah.
And when you guys went over, you kind of smashed it and won like 2 games, and you placed yourself a place in the quarterfinals, where you played. It was Turkey that you played in the quarterfinals, which were they were the reigning gold medalists, weren't they?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And you played amazingly against them. Like, you made Turkey really work for it, and really, like, watching the game, they were nervous at times. Like, they were like, oh shit, like we need to sort of actually keep on top of this. So to go from like a 25-year drought to winning 2 games and making it to the finals, and then playing the way that you did at the finals anyway, did that have any sense of like significance or moment? Like, did you feel that in the moment, or is it only in retrospect that you're like, oh wow, that happened?
Yeah, I guess we did. So we qualified for London, and our team qualified for London, and we weren't meant to. So to compete there was huge. We didn't win a game, but the scores were really tight. Like, I looked back the other day, and I can't believe, like, some of them we were only 2 goals in that, and that was huge. To do that at your first Paralympics is amazing, and it was everybody on the team's first Paralympics. We then also went to Rio, and that was a roller coaster in itself. So we had qualified, then we got taken out of qualification due to just a bit of politics, and then we actually got a call up. I think it was only about 2 or so months out, and some of us hadn't played in a few months. So to go there, and we actually drew a game in Rio. To go there and play that well after all the crazy stuff that we had to deal with was, that was amazing. And then to qualify again for our 3rd consecutive Paralympics was huge. We're such a small country. No one knows what Goalball is. We get so little funding, and we hardly see each other as it is. And then due to COVID, like, we did, I think the last time we saw each other prior to this was May. So then to go out and actually win 2 games at our Paralympics the first time in 25 years, I still can't believe it, but it was so amazing to be able to do that. And to do that, our whole mantra for the whole tournament was together. To do that together was just absolutely amazing, and something I'll never forget.
Yeah. How did you guys come up with that mantra? Because it definitely showed, like, I told you before we started recording, like, watching the games from home, they were emotional to watch, and just knowing that, like, how much you guys, or not even knowing everything, but knowing that you guys had been through so much, just to, like, as well as a pandemic and not being able to see each other, just to sort of make it there. It was just it was a whole experience to watch. So how did that mantra of together come about?
I think it was something we sort of started working on through COVID. We definitely started working a lot more on our communication. Our team hasn't always been the closest, and it was something we really wanted to do and work on to continue post Tokyo as well. Just communication on and off the court, because we believe that, you could be an amazing athlete, you could all be 6 amazing athletes, but if you can't communicate and you can't get on, then you're never going to win a game. So we really tried hard leading into Tokyo to, even if we just message each other and go, how was your week? What did you do? What was a positive? What was a negative? So we really worked on that. And then during the games, I think I came up, I spoke to Pete, our coach, and just said, like, I think we should have a bit of a no phone rule while, leading up to the game. Once we get on that bus, let's just do everything together, feel everything together. Because in the past, we've had games where, you'd come off a game and you'd lose, and then everyone in the outside world would just be straight on you, telling you what you did wrong, what you should have done better, and just trying to get in on that. And, that it has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just us as a team. And I'm just a big believer in feeling everything in that moment and feeling it together, because they don't know what you're feeling, but that, everyone in that room with you does. And just trying to work on that and have those things and do that together. I think it kind of then led on to playing together, and we were playing, I can't remember what game it was. I think it might have been China. For some reason, we just kept saying together, let's do this together, and then it led on from there, and we just continue that throughout. And I think it really helped our team.
Yeah, I have like full body goosebumps. Like, this is what gets me about sports. Like, I'm like, I love the story, because there's always a journey, like in this level of sport. I find, like, there's always this journey and this self-exploration, but also this coming together when it's a team sport as well. Like, you have to. And I mean, like, anyone that knows my work knows I'm big on communication. So, like, when you said that, I'm like, yes, like, that's exactly what's important. But it also sounds like that you guys set really healthy boundaries around what was coming in, like while you were in the village and while you were there and everything, what was coming in from the outside world, and just kind of going like, you know, we can address that later if we choose to address it at all, but like this is almost like our bubble and we need to like, it was really that stepping into this space of we're taking this seriously, and we're doing, like, not just taking it seriously because you would have before, but we're taking it seriously together. It keeps coming back to that word together, and it shows in how you guys work together. And I think for sports as well, like Goalball, for when there's vision impairment involved, like that communication piece is really important, right? Because otherwise, like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it was something we did want to control. So control what came in and out and at what time. So we had the no phone policy from when we got on the bus to when we finished recovery. So we travelled home together on the bus. No one was allowed to communicate with the outside world. And then, yeah, did the recovery, did all that together. And then it was, you know, if you wanted to go and, you know, face the world, then you could. And you're right, like, especially a visually impaired sport and goalball, communication is so important because you don't have the what do you call it, like body language and that sort
you
of
don't
stuff.
have the visual cues to kind of pick up on someone's mood or, you know, something.
Yeah, so communication is so important, and the way you talk is so important, like making sure that you're you say it in the right way so that that person doesn't take offense to it, or, you know what I mean? Like it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more of a mindfulness about it within that community. Like even the time that I spent in that community, like supporting some of the teams, like it was this real awareness of not just tone, but definitely tone, but also just like language and just choosing what you say, but also how you say it and how you say it with clarity and directness as well, rather than kind of like fucking around and, you know, like not saying what you actually mean. And whether it's giving someone directions or actually just trying to say something, I think it changes. It's a really important change in how we communicate with each other that I feel like everyone would benefit from.
Yes.
Like, you know,
yeah,
overall,
maybe blindfold everybody for a day and make them communicate and see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And like sort of, show them you know, some of those little areas that could be improved, because I feel like this is a great example, and like we could learn a lot from how you guys have, or how in general, but how you guys have shown up in that way. So you mentioned that you guys have, you as well have been to several Paralympic games. So that was starting in London, which was that 2000 or
2012?
Or 2012? No.
Yeah.
Because it's 2021 now. Never mind.
Okay, the last 2 years haven't really counted.
No, exactly. Sorry, 2012 makes a lot more sense. How does it feel from your first Paralympics games, like going into it? How do you feel like as a leader as well, versus this one? What's the difference in the feeling, or what do you feel like has changed or shifted in that time for you?
I think like the feeling of actually being here or being there and representing your country, like I don't think that changes. I don't think it ever changes. Like the fact that you are able to do that, like it's amazing, regardless of whether it's your first, your second, your third, your fifth, or any tournament you get to represent your country. It's so amazing. And the thing I would say would probably just be the confidence in which you do it. Obviously the first time you're a lot more nervous. My third, of course there's always nerves. I always am a little bit nervous in everything, every time I play, but I think I have a lot more confidence going out and playing, knowing that I do fit into that world. I think the first time, you know, wow, I am here, but do I really fit in? I feel that a lot. But then yeah, this time was like, nah, you know what, I'm going to show you I do fit in, and I'm meant to be here, and this team's meant to be here. Yeah, so that definitely. Another feeling, I think, within the whole Australian team, the way London was, we were one of the first vision impaired sports, I think, for a while, and so we kind of felt a little bit of an outcast. People would look at us like, and not in a bad way. I think they just were like, oh, there's a new team.
Yeah,
and
they're learning something new. Yeah.
So, and then this time, there was a huge change in the way that the whole Australian team was, and I think it started kind of after Rio, where instead of being individuals or individual sports, we were just one team, one mob. I'm not sure if you've heard that, but the Australian mob. And having that in Tokyo was so amazing. The support you got from everybody, the just feeling a part of something so much bigger than you, so much bigger than your team, just being a part of a huge Australian team. It was amazing. And I think COVID actually really helped with that, because we weren't allowed to go to the dining hall. We weren't allowed to mix with other teams. We only had each other. And that, I reckon that was, I know this wasn't really a question, but that was the highlight.
No, yeah, tell me.
That was definitely the
tell
highlight.
me all the things.
Yeah, it was so good, because, you know, we had to eat together, and being vision impaired is really hard. Previously in dining halls, you kind of would just stick to one spot because you're like, oh, there's so many people, I don't know what to do. Yeah, so you never actually got to meet other Australians, where this time it's just like there's a huge area, they're all Australians, hey, I'm going to sit with you and have a chat. And so that was really cool. And just sitting in an area and watching your fellow teammates on the screen and everyone cheering together, and when they came back from all their sports, you know, clapping well done, and, you know, even if they won, lost, draw, whatever, like all being together, that was one of the highlights of the game. So it's definitely different from London.
Did it change as well? Because, like, I know that there weren't crowds, there weren't spectators, so you were kind of, what was the setup with how you spectated for each other? Because was that the only real spectators that you had, is like other athletes?
So we weren't actually allowed to go to any other other event, so you could only go to your own event. So being Goalball was a little bit hard because we can't really cheer ourselves
it's
on.
Just you, yeah. I mean, you can, but not from the sidelines.
We were lucky enough to go to like gold medal matches and stuff like that, so that was really good of Goalball. But we couldn't unfortunately go to other events, but we had heaps of TVs, so we all just got together if something was on, and everyone just sat and cheered from the Australian HQ, and then just saw everyone come back from events. So it was very different, because I remember back in Rio we did get to watch, I think it was the wheelchair tennis match, the gold medal match. So sad that we couldn't do that, but a lot of the staff were able to go and watch some things as well, which I think was amazing for them, because, you know, they're stuck just seeing the same people and doing the same thing over and over again and not really get to experience it. So it was really good for them to be able to go and watch some things, and a couple of them came to Goalball, and we had some, I think the Australian embassy, they came to watch, so we had a little bit of support, so that was really good.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think, like, what you were saying about like the Australian mob and sort of uniting as one larger team, as a spectator from home, you could feel that difference this year. And I love the Olympics. Like, I've, like, you know, each time they're on, I'm like, yeah, cool, like prioritize, like, you know, taking time out and watching it. But like, there was a big difference this year that you could feel in terms of like this unity of the Australian team as a whole, rather than individual athletes or individual, you know, like sports as teams. It was really this unification of almost like that larger concept or aspect of togetherness, right? Like, and it felt different. And I think like you're right, like we kind of have COVID to thank for that, I guess, if we could thank COVID for anything.
That's it. Well, that's really cool to know that everyone felt that from home, because I think it was a huge thing everyone's sort of been working on, and hopefully that'll continue in the future, because being a part of that is so amazing, and I hope to see the future of Paralympics be able to feel that as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like it, as meaning making creatures that we humans are, like I feel like it gives a lot more meaning to sport, and to like what sports does and how it does bring people together. And like every 4 years, or 5 years in this case, but every 4 years, like the world comes together and gets to kind of, there's this unification in that. And I think that like it gives it a lot more meaning in the journey, and the recognition of like what you guys, without even knowing or being possible to know everything, what you guys go through in terms of like training, and how you show up, and how you like how you prepare, and how you come together. And there's still this it's a big life events that are happening for a whole bunch of like these elite athletes that are representing us as a country. So it's I think it helps people back home to recognize the humanness a lot more in that, and like that journey and that aspect of it. Speaking of journeys, so you've been playing goalball for 17 years. And I mean, we don't need to sit on this one if it's too much at the moment, but so you're retiring. Are you retiring as of these games, or as of this year? Because what happens when you get back home with like your local goalball scene?
Definitely retiring from Australian goalball. So I played my last match against Turkey. That was our quarterfinal.
Killer match. It was so good. My God.
I mean, it'd be good to say we won, but it's quite hard. Like I know I have a lot more to give. I could probably keep playing, but I also want to walk away when I choose to walk away, not when my body tells me to walk away, not when people push me out of the sport, obviously because they're better than me, sort of thing. Or I just want to walk away on my terms. And I just think it's time to do that, and let the younger players have their time to shine and see where they can take the next little bit of goalball. So definitely retiring from international goalball. I want to still play socially and maybe nationally, depending on where my life goes, whether I can, or things like that. But I don't want to walk away from the sport altogether. It's a very small sport. We need to stay in it to help it continue, and just to see all the young kids growing up and seeing where they go with sport. Like I can't walk away, because I want to see where they go.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like all 6 of you that were over there, there were 6, all 6 of you like have this wealth of experience now, like of competing at what I would imagine is like the peak international level, right? Like the Paralympics are like, that's it, like that's the peak of it. And you get to bring that back and share that experience with like the up and comers and the younger ones, and as they're coming into it, or even like the really younger ones who are kind of just starting to explore what is goalball and how, like, where do I fit and all of that. Like I think there's so much value in that experience that you get to bring, that can be an asset to the sport, because like you said, it is such a small sport. Like 2.5 years ago I hadn't heard of it. Like I'd sort of like, it sounded vaguely familiar, but I was like, well, I don't really know enough to say that I know it, so what is it, and now it's like whether it's because I have more people, you know, like in my newsfeed who are goalball players or coaches or whatever, you know, or it is getting more exposure. And I think Tokyo definitely allowed for that too. But it is such an important place, and I think this is the role of sports in general, as it gives people a sense of belonging. And you mentioned, you know, like at previous games and everything, how you kind of feel isolated because, you know, like with vision impairment, it is kind of like, I imagine it is kind of isolating because, you know, like there's a different level of connection that you have to do in order to reach out and connect with other people. So to have that home, to have that, yeah, that sense of home and belonging, I think must feel really special and really powerful, and give you that sense of safety, almost like not physical safety, but just like that sense of like, oh, I feel, you know, like that home, that, oh, I'm here. And
yeah, well, that's sort of why I continued to play goalball once I found it. Like I struggled a lot as a kid with being teased, and I didn't really have a place that I could call home. Obviously I have my family and things like that, but I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And then I found goalball, and I finally found that place, and everyone was just so welcoming. And to know that, you know, you're having those same struggles like everybody else in that family, that made me, I think it's made me who I am today, and made me fit in somewhere. And if I can help teach a younger child that they too have somewhere to belong, and give them a place where they feel safe, like you said, and they can just shine, you know, I want to be able to do that. So
yeah, I think that's really special, and it's really important as well. So I love that you bring that energy into it, and that there's that, like, again, like it's that experience that you get to also go like, yeah, hey, I know what it's like. And when we're sharing from our experience in any way, like, and in any scenario, it helps more people than we know.
Yeah,
like yeah, there's always people who are like, oh my god, that, like, you know, there's something in that helps more people than we know. So I love that you get to do that in a way that serves you as well, and choose that for yourself too, rather than, like you said, like rather than being pushed out, or like your body pushing you out of the sport.
Getting old.
No, only in athletes terms, right? Like,
yeah, our bodies break down a little bit quicker.
A little bit, yeah. They go through a lot. They experience a lot though.
Oh wow, they do.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So what do you feel like happens for you once you get back to Brisbane, out of quarantine, out of, you know?
Ugh. Well, first thing, I'm going to take a huge deep breath because I'm in Melbourne, and we don't have any windows or doors or balconies or anything like that. So I haven't had any fresh air in 6 days now. So can't wait for that. But I just want to settle back into life. I was actually supposed to go back to work straight away, but they've changed the rules now, and I can't go back to the week after I get back, which in a way it's a bit of a blessing. But yeah, I'm just excited to live my life and do all the things that you miss out on as an athlete. You know, I spend so much time training. Like I get up early morning, train, go to work, go to training, and then I don't get home till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I basically eat and go to bed. So I can't wait to just come home, sit on the couch, watch TV, have dinner, go to bed, you know, see my family. Not, you know, there's so many things people go, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or it's someone's birthday. Oh, sorry, I can't miss training. So I really can't wait to just do all that sort of stuff and not feel guilty. But, you know, also keep a healthy lifestyle. That's something I really want to try and do, because it's easy just to, you know, go home and be lazy, and as soon as you sort of stop that, it's harder to get back into routine. So I want to try and keep doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great plan as well. And I think it's important too, like from a mental health perspective, like you see a lot of athletes as they retire across the board, like any sport, that there can be that decline, and maybe it's from that sense of having that sense of belonging or the purpose or the thing to do, and also not necessarily having to be as healthy, you know, as normal, so like their health declines, so then everything else kind of follows suit. So
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you have like that plan and that awareness as well, because that, you know, it's almost part of the course of being at that elite level, right? Like,
Yeah.
and just going and recognizing, okay, like there are risks here and there are things there, and getting to embrace it all and getting to enjoy it all. And it sounds like having that support network as well outside of the sport will make that big difference for you too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's knowing that it is also going to be tough. Like it's not just easy to walk away from an international, like not competition, but like standard mentally, like mental health wise, you know, that's going to be really hard. But to recognize that, and, you know, give yourself time to feel all those emotions, and you know, really work on that and have that support around you to get through that, I think is really important, because it's probably really easy to just bottle it up and you know, lock yourself in a room, which I am in a room,
which has happened.
Has happened,
God.
Yeah, but to yeah, and have something else to do to keep yourself occupied and, you know, not get down about it all. So I think that's really important to recognize that, you know, that you can't escape those feelings. It's a huge part of your life to walk away from. So yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it's almost like the acknowledgement of, yep, I'm going to feel things, and that's okay, because it's normal and it makes sense, because it's this huge part. And I feel like you're navigating, like even in these early stages, right? I feel like you're navigating that really well, just with that awareness, instead of trying to like numb it out or block it out.
Definitely trying to. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So
and and also you're in hotel quarantine with that. But hey, you've got a bathtub and you've got wine, and that's like that's a start.
Yeah, that's it. Bit of a numbing mechanism. No, not really. No, not at all.
Oh, no.
We don't have enough alcohol for that.
No, that's good. Are you and the team continuing like that contact and the conversation while you're all in quarantine?
Yeah, we've tried to. We're all in sort of different situations. Some of us are in Melbourne, some are in Sydney, and some are actually lucky enough to home quarantine. So I think it's kind of being talking to each other, but also being respectful that we're all in different situations. Because some of us will take that harder than others. That, you know, it is different, and some people have, I suppose, what you'd say, easier circumstances. So yeah, we're definitely trying to stay connected and help each other out through this. So
yeah, I love that. I think that's really cool as well, just to sort of, it feels like there's an inherent respect that runs through that team, and like this awareness of each other, and not just like rah rah rah, let's go. It's also this like, hey, like there's empathy and respect there of like, hey, everyone's situation is a little bit different in general, as well as very specifically right now, and this is it, like, you know, here it is. And thank you so much for coming on and having a conversation with me. I love hearing like more of these stories, and I love talking about this stuff. So I'm really grateful for your time and for you coming on and sharing those things and these things with all of us as well. So
that's okay. Thank you so much for talking to me. You've filled up an hour of my time.
That's great. Anything to help out during hotel quarantine. If you want to follow more of what the Aussie Belles are up to, you can follow them. What's their Instagram? Is it just Aussie Belles?
Yeah, Aussie Belles.
Yep, Aussie Belles, as well as I'll include all of the links in the caption or the show notes as well, but you can also follow Goalball Australia to see more about that, or even Blind Sports Australia is a really good one to follow too. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope everything goes well for you on this transition into this next part of your journey.
Thank you.